Greetings everyone, and thanks for joining us on this paranormal pit stop. Tonight, we'll be exploring a popular and iconic ex-community located between I-15 to its north and I-40 to its south on the Mojave National Preserve in California. That central point, being a repurposed railroad depot, actually stands as a prime example of a 1920s era mission and Spanish colonial revival-styled station, which also once toted a hotel, a restaurant, and gardens. Rumored to harbor a range of chilling, ghostly manifestations tied to its past. Are you sure you're ready to brave the history and hauntings of the Kelso Depot? Historically, in 1905, the Kelso Depot would open its doors in order to accommodate passengers and employees of the railroad, while acting as a water stop for steam locomotives. It was followed only months later by the creation of a post office, an engine house, and an eating house or dining hall purposed to serve both travelers and railroad staff on trains that lacked dining cars. And over the years, as the community encompassing the depot grew and local operations required additional workers, family members and acquaintances of local residents informed would move to the site from all over to fill rising demand. Not surprisingly, the oasis-like setting of the Kelso Depot, coupled with the impressive structure's formidable ambiance, would result in it becoming a popular social hub amongst Union Pacific employees, passengers, and even local residents. Subsequently, in 1923, the railroad would begin construction of a new Kelso clubhouse and restaurant, which would open a year later, and that would include a conductor's room, a telegraph office, a baggage room, dorm space for staff, boarding rooms for crewmen, a billiards room, a library, and a locker room. Eventually, what had started off as nothing more than a simple train depot would expand greatly, and by the early 1940s, Kelso would boast around 2,000 residents at its peak, many of whom that were recently arrived transplants in search of their fortunes, at first within the borax and iron mines near, and later with silver and gold, which were discovered in the hills of what would eventually be recognized as the Kelso district. Unfortunately for the budding community, this prosperity was relatively short-lived, and with World War II would come the start of a steady decrease in the depot's necessity, resulting in a decline in freight traffic and in further reduction of services and staffing when diesel began replacing steam. In 1947, the Vulcan mine would close its doors. On August 14th of 1964, the last passenger train would depart Kelso Station, and all the way up until 1985, the Beanery Cafe would soldier on for a time, alone within the old site, until it too was forced to cease operations, and after which, Kelso residents who hadn't already abandoned the community would end up moving away in search of greener pastures. Left to stand the tests of both time and desert conditions, the old depot and outbuildings would begin to deteriorate rapidly, and sadly, by the mid-1990s, it was actually under threat of demolition. However, thankfully, in 2005, preservationists would step in, after which the expanse was renovated and re-established as the Mojave National Preserve's official visitor center. In the present, the Kelso station remains open to visitors, though for those of you considering a visit, still check their page or Google listing, as they have been closed off and on for restorations, repairs, and refurbs. Incidentally, the site should be fully opened again sometime through spring of 2023 and offers a range of historic and educational materials alongside all manner of information regarding the history of the region and of the community's small period of boom. Rather classically, the Kelso station has seemingly always been tied to a slew of local legends and spine-tingling ghost stories, and staff, visitors, and workmen to its bounds have reported a host of ghostly activity, including extreme cold spots felt through the desert heat, disembodied voices that emanate from thin air, and phantom footsteps that sound down vacant hallways. A humble but mysterious graveyard lies just up the tracks from the depot and holds about 30 graves, all of which that are marked by simple white crosses lacking any sort of names or dates. Those passing by or who have actually braved the yard have told of misty forms that float about, or even of full-bodied apparitions clad in old-fashioned attire that appear lost or confused, and after seconds that fade into nothingness. Several informal investigations of Kelso have yielded high EMF levels, chilling EVPs, and orbs and odd silhouettes in the backgrounds of photography, while others have described phantom train whistles or the unnerving feelings of being watched, of being followed, or of being brushed up against or touched by someone or something unseen. For centuries now, a massive phantom buck with an enormous rack has been sighted roaming lands around the depot, and appears so solid that a number of hunters have taken shots at it. However, no matter what gun is used, and regardless of how many times the buck has seemingly been hit, it always manages to bound off at full speed, unaffected, before disappearing into the horizon. Also reported through the old depot are phantom wafts of tobacco smoke, perfume, and cologne, instances of doors or objects that move on their own, and ominous, pale, spectral faces that peer from the windows after dark. A final popular story tells that when the depot still held its hotel, that a man hanged himself in room 6, which to this day bears an odd stain on its wall that just won't go away. Many claim the spirit of this man, who's also recognized as the ghost zombie due to his corpse-like rotted appearance, now wanders about, with his grotesquely torqued neck and vacant stare, as he drags behind him the length of rope he used to end it all. Thanks for tuning in for this Paranormal Pit Stop. If you enjoyed hearing our histories and ghost stories, subscribe to our channel, like this upload, and share us with anyone you feel could use a good scare. We'll catch you all next time.